WordPress pricing table example 2. Hey guys, welcome back to wpDataTables tutorials. We've shown you the pricing table example 1. We've shown you the pricing table example 3. This time I will show you a relatively different approach to how you can create the pricing table number 2. So let's jump straight to it. This time we will use a template because we already have shown you how you can copy and paste all the data into a table with some codes included and so on, but this now includes only the data which is going to be populated in the tables. Now, we will speed up sections of this video just to speed it up a bit. But anyway, here's what you guys need to do. So with these 26 rows and 5 columns created and pre-populated, we can actually use all these tools above and configure the data in the tables. So let's expand this first column so everything is fine. Worth mentioning, we are recreating this table. So as you can see, it's completely different at the moment in the back end. So we've increased the width of this first column so it looks like this. And now, since it's all aligned to the left, we will simply select this entire column and change the alignment and flip it to the left. Now, productivity essentials is in a different color than the rest. So basically the names are different than the rest of the data. So here we need to change the font. The font size for the entire column is set to 16. So we'll change that right here. And we'll use these caps lock cells, sorry about that, and change the colors. So in here, we'll switch to hex and we'll just use, actually we'll go back to RGB and use this. So 132, 143, 153, and 1. That's it. Save it. And we now have different color of these cells in the first column. Basically, this completes the first column configuration. Now the second column is also aligned to the left, and we'll do that right now. So we'll select the first column and we'll choose the alignment, set it to be left. But as you can see in the example here, 3 is different in size, 0 is different in size, and so on. So here we need to actually use this to select this and copy the text and insert HTML. When you insert HTML and again double click on this cell, you will see that wpDataTables automatically adds a div. So when we click on insert HTML again, we will be able to define the color of the text here. So we will use hex number 091D70 and hit enter. This changes the color, and we also need to change so it's bold, and we need to change the font size so it's 24. Now in here you cannot change the font size, but when you hit insert HTML, you can click on this and change it to 24. Okay, so if it doesn't work with HTML, you can always use the source code. And in here under style, add font size 24px semicolon, okay, and it's increased in size. Now, the reason it doesn't work with the font size option above the table is because we've added HTML. Now, as HTML, it follows its own rules, so we need to define all the other data through HTML instead of the drop down here. If I select this and I select 24, it will of course increase in size, but then when I hit insert HTML, it will show up blank because we haven't inserted anything. Now, this is pretty much it, but in order to look like this, we will need to add some padding. So you can again go through HTML and source code, or you can simply double click here and configure it right here. So let's just add padding 20,0020. So in here where the style is, we'll add padding 20px 0020px, semicolon, and also hit enter, and that's it. Now we have padding in here. Now the next line for individuals is simply different font size, which is 16, and it should also have some padding, so similar to what we've had here. So we'll just copy this style and add it to this cell. We'll remove the color in here and leave just the padding and close this pan. That's basically it. Now this column is interesting. As you can see, it is added through custom HTML, and it needs the price. It needs to be quite larger than the user per month. So what we need to do here is actually style it differently, and we'll simply copy and paste padding again and change the font size and the color and the font weight. Now in here we don't need this. This is too much. And here next to this we will add span style equals open quotation, paste the data, close, and add span. Now when we do that, we can simply add another span with user per month instead of this data type. So I'll just paste that right here, hit enter, and this is what we'll see. So in here you can see this is added by HTML function in wpDataTables. The style is added padding, inline block for the display, this font size of 48 pixels and custom color, and font weight, which is actually bold, for $0. Then we're adding a new span with display block. Color is a different color, and the margin on the left is 20 pixels. That's for user per month. Now the last thing here is get started. Now get started can simply be configured as a button. So click on this cell, add it as a link, and we'll use our website. So wpDataTables.com/pricing. Text is get started. It's going to open a new tab. It's going to appear as a button. So we will just insert this link and it will show up like this. Now once it's saved and refreshed, you will see this button right here, which of course is not the same as you can see here, but we'll get to that later. So now we can copy this cell and paste it over these two cells and do the same for the last cell, but we'll need to change the text from get started to contact us. So again, https wpDataTables.com/pricing, contact us. It opens in a new tab and appears as a button. Now it's changed to contact us. Now after we do this, we have the next 5 rows, which include a checkmark. Now, as shown in the previous video, the checkmark is added by simply adding this div class checkmark blue, and it appears right here because we've defined it in wpDataTables settings for the previous video. So this is the same for these next 5 rows, so I'll simply add that. And let's just check out the settings here under custom JS and CSS. We can see checkmark, how it's defined, checkmark blue, checkmark white, and white background, and everything else we need for the page. So with this, we can skip to the next populated cell, which is only 1. So in there, we define the size, set it to 16, and that is basically it for this cell. Now we leave the next 7 rows blank, so we get to email support, and in here we again copy the div class and add the checkmark. There it is. And now we go to the next to last, actually to the last row, which is again get started. I can simply copy all this and paste it below. Here we go. Now we will speed up the rest of the video because it's basically the same, and we will again slow down when we come to this column because, as you can see here, it has a different background color and a different text color. So let's speed this up. Okay, now we are back to we are actually moving forward to the 4th column, which I said will slow it up, slow the video down so I can explain. Now let's get back to it. So the 4th column, team, actually needs a different background color, which is right here. So when we click on this, we can enter the code, which is 9, 29, 112, and 1. Now when we save it, we will see that all the data in here cannot be read. And as you can see in the front, it's mostly in white. So we can use everything up until here to configure the white color of the font. So we'll just move the slider up here and save it. Now, team, just like these, has a different size. So we will be using the font size set to 24, and we'll set it to be bold. So it's team. Again, just like these, it needs padding. So I'll copy padding and I will add it here. So again, I can just copy the whole span style, but I'll just change the color. We'll actually remove the color and leave just the font size, just the padding, that is, and save. Here we go. This needs to have a white color on the price, but it also needs to have a different color on the user per month. So in here, we will use the font, we will use the HTML editor. So let's just copy the text without everything in here. Let's just copy this and this. So we're copying this, deleting this cell, and adding HTML, where we can split it per row, user per month, billed annually. Okay, so now, I mean, we can actually, shift this. This is enter. You can see there's padding in there, but I'll use shift enter so it's right below. Now I can select this and set it to be heading 1, but I don't need that because we will be setting this up through the code here. So in there, let's just save it first, insert HTML so we can edit it again. Okay, when we click on insert HTML and edit like this, we see again the div, and we need to configure the style. So we'll add span style around the price, which is, so we're going to remove this and paste the span style. Padding 20, 0, 0, 20. Displays inline block, font size 40px, color is white, font weight 600. So then we close the span and add another span for the user per month, which is here. Here we go, user per month. And then we have break right here, build annually, and close the span instead of the paragraph. Okay. And once we insert this, it shows up correctly in the table. Here we go. Now, moving forward, we have, since we already configured all these buttons, we move forward, we're only pasting the code for the white check marks. So it's div with the class checkmark white. I'll show you real quick. Paste it, so div class checkmark white, and hit enter. Again, we can copy and paste it here. Let me just see where it needs to go. So this is unlimited, and the size of these should also be 16. So unlimited, but we need white text color. Save it. Okay, now we skip 2 rows and add again a white check mark. So we're skipping this, adding the global actions configuration, and under support we are adding these 3 check marks. So this column is now done. We're again speeding it up just to configure the last column, and I'll show you how to show it on the front end. That's it. The table is configured. Now we will need to post this table on the front end, but if we do that, it will not be looking as pretty as this one, because again, as I mentioned, we need this custom CSS, which is pasted below and which is pasted in the FAQ section that's also linked below the video. So now if we take this shortcode, it's copied to the clipboard, and we go to see a page on the front end. Let's just see if I have already created a page for the pricing table too. Okay, here it is. We'll just edit it with Elementor, and we will replace the shortcode with the shortcode copied from the table in here. Let's just wait for Elementor to load. And while it's doing that, you can see what CSS is needed here. Now you'll also see that these are added per table ID. So the table ID currently is 38. I will need to adjust this and change it so it's applied to the correct table. Now this, we will need to replace all these 35s with 38s, but let's first change it. And pricing template 38. Let's update it and preview the changes once it loads. Here we go. The table is loading, and the front end page is going to show exactly what you see in the back end. So nothing pretty. Now, as I mentioned, in the settings, we will need to replace all these 35s with 38s. So this custom CSS applies to the front end. If you're adding custom CSS to settings, custom JS and CSS, it will apply to the table no matter where it is. So it doesn't really matter where the table is, it's just going to show as it's supposed to show. Now, as you can see, we don't see these check marks, so let's see what's going on with that. Checkmark white, the class is okay, and it's showing okay on the front end. I forgot to save the table. That's also very useful. So now let's go back and refresh the page. There we go. Here are the white check marks, and everything looks pretty much like our WordPress pricing table example, except for the buttons. Now, the buttons need to be centered, so we'll configure that in the table here. And as you can see, we can hit Control and select multiple cells. We'll center the buttons and we'll check out the code. So let's just add this custom CSS back into Elementor, see if that changes things. We'll save these changes in the back, and we'll see what the pricing table in the front is going to show now. The buttons still need to be configured, so let's just use the button classes in the back end. That's what we need. Just copy it, paste it over these on the bottom as well. And this white get started in column number 4 is this, and in here, and contact us is right here. So let's just overwrite that as well, and save the changes. Let's see, it's done. Let's refresh the page, and here we go. Now we have the buttons created, and this is a table that looks like the table on our website. So this is basically, let me just view it in full screen here. So here we go. This is the exact same table replicated locally with the help of some custom CSS and all the available tools that we have in Simple Tables. Now, as you guys were able to see, there's currently a summer sale for wpDataTables, so make sure to grab your copy if you don't have one. And also, please let us know what you think about this tutorial, what you would like to see next. Leave those comments in the section below. And while you're there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in another video, guys.